Today in episode 29 of the Play Guitar Podcast, I share my 3 tips to jumpstart your guitar playing. Try these out to get your playing back on the right path. Also, I've got some listener feedback, so stay tuned. Welcome to episode 29 of the Play Guitar Podcast. I'm Lee, and this is the podcast that's determined to make you a better guitar player. No matter if you're just starting out or you've been playing for years, this is the show that will help you become the guitarist that you always wanted to be. So hey everyone, thank you for joining me today. My theme for the past few weeks has been all about trying new things. A lot of changes. Lots of changes in my life, big changes in my business, my guitar playing, and today the change is going to be in the podcast. Not so much for you, but more for me. I've always done a ton of preparation for this show. I just felt I needed to do that so that everything was in order and logical for you. I'm trying to help people get through different things, and I didn't want it to be scattered. So I always had everything planned out. But what happens is when I sit down to actually record the show, I use a little bit of that, but then I go off on tangents and just talk to you. So that's a lot of work for what I'm actually doing. So I'm trying things a bit different for today. I'm just going to try a new routine today. I'm just going off of the outline that I made for the show. It's still going to be just as organized, but it's going to be a little bit more conversational. I'm going to talk a little bit more than just run through my notes. We'll see how it goes. It has already helped me get things done a lot quicker. So I'm just going to see how it goes, and I'll let myself enjoy the process a little bit more, enjoy our time together a little bit more. So here in where I am in the United States, the summer is in full effect. I know in Australia, we have a lot of folks from Australia. It is quite different. But here in the middle of summer, I know for me, every time when the summer starts, I have big plans for all the things that I'm going to get done, things I just can't get to throughout the year. And I quickly find out that summer is probably the busiest time of the year. It's hard to do anything with so much to do, especially hard to practice guitar with so much to do. There's too much fun stuff going on. And unfortunately, life doesn't stop for fun. So my guitar practicing, we'll just say I need to start buckling down on my own guitar practicing. I need to practice what I preach. I'm helping people with their practice schedules all over the place, and mine is getting pushed to the side. So I'm getting my practicing schedule together, and I've given it a lot of thought, and I wonder, how can I have fun practicing, but still use my time as effectively as possible? And that's what I'm going to go over today. If you're in a rut, or you think that a change of routine would do well for you, today is the show for you. What I'm going to talk about are my 3 things that light a fire under your guitar playing. Some things that are meaningful but effective. I think you're going to like I think this show will give you a lot of focus. It's already given me a lot of focus, and I'm getting things planned out. So that's what the show is going to be about today. And I just want to let you know about my free video lesson. It's called Get Your Blues Soloing Under Control. It's the 6 steps I've found that will give you the right foundations for playing killer blues solos in no time at all. It's a lesson I put together for you guys. I got on Skype with a few listeners, and We had a lot of fun, and I asked a few questions, and I came up with an idea for this. And I know it can really help take your soloing in a new direction. And it's very easy to find. Just go to freeblueslesson.com. And when you sign up for this, you also get news about everything else I do, podcasts, videos, other cool stuff, and it's all sent right to your email. So go ahead and check that out at freeblueslesson.com. This is fun, different. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. And we're going to go ahead and get started with jump-starting our guitar playing. Jumpstart your guitar playing. We're going to jumpstart my own guitar playing too. So this week, like I said before, I've been thinking a lot about my own playing. I made this change. I'm going to start teaching online, and you'd think that'd be easy. And honestly, it's a lot of work and things are busy. My own practicing has suffered. I've had no time for anything. And I find myself recommending to lots of different people, trying to find short amount of time each day to put towards the goal, to get your practicing moving forward. And that sounds great until you're in panic mode, which has been my last month, just trying to get everything done. So I've been finding ways to try and make things a bit easier. I need to clear time to exercise. I need to clear time for guitar. I need to make the preparation easier for the podcast, which I talked about before, which I'm doing today. I'm learning how to be productive with time. I've got to keep up with social media. I've got my mailing list. I've got the podcast to get rid of. I need to keep up with my blog content. I'm going to start doing videos. It's a lot of stuff. And basically, I'm just a guy that likes to play guitar. And I as all this has been happening, I see the value of focus. And that's what today's all about. I think very well in threes. I like to do things in threes. It's easier to handle. You see a lot of those things. 10 ways to do this and 15 ways to do that. I can't think like that. I think well in small numbers. Actionable small numbers. And so today we're going to do something in threes. What are the three things that you or I can do to dramatically speed up my improvement on the guitar? There are always tons of things that you can do. There's a lot. You can practice more. You can go out and buy some better equipment, or get your guitar set up, and that'll help. You could buy some cool learning software. You can get on YouTube and go straight down the YouTube rabbit hole and just figure out, let it lead you different places. But I've played long enough to know that that's all fun for a bit. But after spending a lot of money and wasting a lot of time, you find that you may not be any better than when you started these things. It gets expensive too. It's not, a lot of times you don't get a good return on your investment, and you can get burnt out. So I've taken an inventory of things that I've gone through in the past. What are the three things in my guitar history that have made the most difference, that have had an impact on me? Things that I could see that I improved, and that I didn't regress back to what, after I went through it, I didn't go back to the way I was before. It was a genuine step forward, or a genuine movement up a level, I guess is a better way of putting that. So with my limited time, I need to make my practice time valuable and only do the things that will make me better, and not do the things that are shiny and fancy and don't actually help me progress. I try in each episode to relate the main topic of the show to something that I've gone through in my life. And why? Because it helps others. It shows that I'm not asking you to do something that I haven't done or I'm unsure of. It also lets you know my failures and how I work through them. I saw a video from Arnold Schwarzenegger a few days ago, and I was just on YouTube and it came up, and it was a video on becoming successful in anything you do. And he stressed how essential failure is to growing. and how getting back up makes you stronger. Have you ever played a gig that went horribly wrong? I have. I've played a lot of them, and I've learned a lot from those. And those bad gigs that I played, they shaped me in a certain way that I don't have to go through those things again. I know it can happen, and I know to prepare in a certain way to make sure I have a good gig. So don't be afraid of making mistakes, and put that kind of embarrassment behind you. Those are some themes from that video. And so I was thinking about that while I was thinking about this practice routine, and I'm thinking, well, how do I relate this to something that I've gone through? And actually, it's inspired by me today. It's not something I went through in my past. Today, I'm fine. I don't find my guitar playing stale. I'm happy with it. It's okay. I just don't feel like I'm moving forward. So I want a new practice routine. I want a new focus. I've played long enough to know how easy it is to waste a lot of time on the guitar working on things that just don't push you forward. And, also, it's not about competition. It's all about making the music better. So we're going to keep moving forward today. So this week is different. It's something I'm going through with you today. So let's take a look at the 3 things that I know, if you put them into practice, will 100% move you up to the next level of guitar playing. So let's see here. The first is transcribing solos. What is that? What is transcribing solos? Transcribing is just developing the skill of listening to a piece of music, being able to play what you hear on your instrument, playing along to recordings, but trying to figure out what it is on the recording. And then the third step, notate it, write it down, or commit it to memory if your memory is that good. Mine's not, but write it down. I got this from jazz guitar. Transcribing is a big part of learning jazz guitar. And you can transcribe the whole song if you want. You can transcribe part of a song, something that you like. You can just transcribe like a solo, or you can actually transcribe the vocal line, but on your instrument. So at first you might think this is silly. We have tablature now, and they're everywhere. You just type into Google whatever you want, boom. And there it is. Someone's already done the work for you. But what I'm trying to tell you is don't rely on tablature, and for several reasons. One is anyone can put tabs up there. They may or may not know what they're doing. Tabs on the internet are full of mistakes, other people's mistakes. That's the first thing. The second thing is you let someone else get the good stuff. They sat down and they developed their ear. They figured it out. They developed their vocabulary. That's where the important stuff is. It's not, you can work on any song and eventually you'll get it. But that process of listening to a song, figuring it out and writing it down, there's something in there that's gold. It's magical. It's the process of listening, thinking it through, and repeating it back. What it does is it works on your listening, on your ear. Transcribing is the best way to be able to hear, what scale is being played or what chord progression is being played. But it's not something that you will be great at first. It's a long journey. It's a progression. It's a bit like writing songs. I've heard Paul McCartney say, your first songs are usually not very good at all, but you have to get through them. You have to get through those bad songs, and then you start getting better. The more you do songwriting, the better you get. And it's the same thing with transcribing songs. The first time you sit down to do it, you kind of feel a little alone. Well, it's just the song and me. I got to figure this out. But the more, and they may not sound that great. You may not figure out exactly what's going on at first, but eventually it gets easier and easier, and you become better and better as a musician. It helps you understand melody better. As you work out the songs that you like, you find out what makes up a good melody to your ears. Melodies is personal. what you like in a melody is not the same as what someone else likes. You might like a melody that has lots of high notes, peaks and valleys. Other people might like a melody that's flat. But when you spend the time to learn what you like and figure out exactly what it is, it becomes a part of you. The next thing is your own mistakes are gold. Now I can relate to something I went through a while ago. There was a song I used to just love. It was called Don't Give It Up by Larry Carlton. And it was on an old live album of his. I just love that song. And gosh, this was a long time ago. And I sat down to transcribe that song. And this is early on in my learning how to transcribe things. And a lot of the things I came up with, I thought that he was playing, turns out to not be what he played at all. But I liked playing them. They were inspired by his playing. They were different. I didn't get it right. I didn't figure out exactly what he was playing. And over the years, now I know exactly what he was playing, and I don't play that. I play those mistakes that I came up with while trying to figure out what he played. I came up with some really cool stuff that was different, and it was all mine. They were my licks. They were inspired by Larry Carlton, but they were not what he played. So by mistake, but spending the time trying to figure out what he did, I came up with some cool stuff. So you may not be able at first to figure something out. And that's it. It's not just okay that you can't figure it out. It's important. We need to work through this. It's essential. And this is something that YouTube can really help you out with. You could transcribe a song. You can learn it, write it down to the best of your ability. And then check it on YouTube. Find a live video of your artist who's playing the song and compare. See if what you came up with is what they actually play. And then you can make adjustments and also know what areas you need to kind of work on a little bit. And eventually on down the road, as you get great at transcribing, your ear starts to get really better, and you can hear a song somewhere and know, hey, I know that's it. I know where they play that on the guitar. You can figure it all out in your head. Very exciting. Well, let's talk about some tools that can help you transcribe. I like Guitar Pro. I think they're up to Guitar Pro 7. And it's a great tool for just writing stuff down in tablature. You can actually write down in standard notation or tablature, either way. And it'll play it back for you. And it sounds okay. And you can keep a collection of all your transcriptions right there in Guitar Pro. I use it for a lot of different things. It's a great software to have. But also something that can help you is having some sort of a slow downer, being able to slow down the music, give you some more time to kind of figure out what it is you're trying to transcribe. There's lots of ways to do this. There is a program called the Amazing Slow Downer, another called Transcribe. You could actually use Audacity for free. That will slow things down and still keep the pitch. You can also use YouTube. There, if you click the gear icon when you're on some sort of a desktop, you can pick the speed that it plays back at. So I use that a lot too. So let's talk about how to do it. How will we start transcribing? Let's start with something basic. A classic song in the style of music that you like. Something that's not difficult, but it's fun. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to listen to the song over and over and over again. You might just spend a morning or an afternoon just listening to the song, trying to get the song in your head, kind of visualize what you think is being played. Then, after you've listened to it for a good bit, sit down and try and figure it out on your instrument first. Try and play some of the parts. Go through that. Get your hands on the guitar and start trying to play along with it. Once you think you have a good grasp of that, notate it. Get some tab paper, some notation paper, Guitar Pro, whatever you've got, and write it down. Okay? And do your best to know that. You could even commit it to memory after you've written it down. But the best thing is being able to go back over time and look at it. Revisit these over time. See your progress. So transcribing solos, that's my first tip to really jumpstart your guitar playing. But the next thing that will jumpstart your playing, number 2, is routinely getting together with other humans to play guitar or music. This is what it's all about, really. It's not about just sitting in your room practicing all the time. At some point, we want to start playing music. It's okay to make videos and share them online, but it's a whole different ball game when you're sitting in a room with someone else and you're trying to make some music together. And to do this, there's 2 ways to go. The first is the comfortable way, and that is to get together with someone who you think is on your level or maybe not quite up to your level. And that's a good way to start. It's comfortable. You don't have a lot of fear involved. You'll do that as you get used to the idea of playing with others. But the one that's really going to help you, the one that's really going to push your playing forward, is for you to find someone or some people who you are a bit challenged by. Someone who you think plays a little bit better than you do. I know it's tough. Now some new things come into the picture. You've got fear and embarrassment that you have to deal with. And let me tell you, this is not just for beginners. This is all the way through. You can be an advanced player, and there's always somebody who's more advanced than you. And you think, oh, I'm not afraid to play with anybody, until you start to play with somebody who's really great. And then that same fear and embarrassment that you had when you were starting out, it comes right back into the picture. But it's really important. So there's 2 ways to go: the comfortable way and the uncomfortable way. They're both good. So what are the benefits of getting together and playing music with other people? Well, the first is feedback. You get feedback about what you play. Smiles, some encouragement, compliments. Or it could go the other way. You could get some eye rolls, or some strange looks. You make the call. But either way, the feedback is important. I know when I'm playing, maybe I've come up with a new lick that I want to try out on a song. When I try it, I'll pay attention to either the other people I'm playing with or an audience if I'm playing in front of some people, to see if it gets any attention, positive or negative. I want to know. I want to know either way. Is this something that people enjoy listening to? So feedback is very important. The next benefit that you get from getting together with other people and playing is listening while playing, which is a very important skill to have. And the more you play with other people, the more you realize that it's not something that a lot of people are good at. Actually listening to what's going on while they're playing their instrument. At some point, you need to know your musical surroundings, what's going on in the song while you're playing. You can't just be obsessed with what you are doing. It's kind of like driving. You start off driving, and then you get you're at 10 and 2, and you're focused on the road, but at some point you get better at driving, and you're able to kind of look around a little bit, see the trees and the houses going by, buildings going by. You need to be able to play your part on the guitar, but also know what everyone else is playing. And at some point, it would be great if you could react to what you hear. You'll find some new things in your playing when you're inspired by maybe what the drummer's playing or the other guitar players playing. It becomes conversational music. One person might start to play real quiet, and then you start playing real quiet over something that you never played quietly over before. It's all new. You get new ideas. So listening while you're playing is really important. And it's one of the things when people talk about pro players. Pro players are always listening to what the rest of the band is doing. If for anything, just to get some new ideas of what you could do, how you could play the song a little bit differently the next time. Another benefit of getting together and playing music with others is that you get to learn what works and what doesn't. You get to develop your own ideas about how you do things. there have been several songs that I thought would be awesome if I could play them. And you work at them, and then you get together with some folks, and they're like, that's not that great. Or you get out in front of an audience and try some songs out, and they just don't go over. Well, that's okay. That it just doesn't. There's a million other songs, but you start to figure out what your style is, where it relates to what people like to hear, and that's really important. Getting together with other players to play can be difficult. But the last thing I want to talk about with this is I don't want you to get discouraged. Don't try it once, and if it doesn't work out, just say, "Oh, forget that. I'm going back to my room to just practice all the time." This is worth pursuing. People, whenever you deal with people, let's just say that people can be charming, or they can be very difficult. Whenever you're dealing with people, it's a challenge. Okay, so maybe the first time you get together with some folks, it doesn't work out well. That's okay. Try and find some other folks, or learn how to get through that, how to deal with difficult people. That's an important lesson in life, not just in music. How can you stay yourself and be positive and moving forward while you're dealing with difficult people? But don't be discouraged if the first time you decide to get together with some folks, it doesn't go the way you planned. It probably won't go the way you planned at all, but it doesn't go well. Group mentality is very interesting, whether it's within a small group of people who are playing, or even when you're out there playing for an audience. It's challenging, but once you get a handle on it, it can be a lot of fun. The last of my 3 things to jumpstart your guitar playing is setting goals. This is the most important. This is the one that will get you further faster. I remember when I wanted to learn how to play slide guitar, I set a goal. I think it was 2 months. In 2 months, I was going to play slide guitar on a gig. And I figured out how to work my way from not knowing what I was doing to that point. And at that gig, that would be my goal, and I was going to play it no matter what. And I sounded terrible at first. But the more I kept at it, I got a little bit better, and I made my goal. I did it. I'm sure I wasn't great, but I was passable. I made it. So I set a goal, and I stuck to it. Why is this important? A lot of us who've played guitar for some time, we experience something called floating. Floating is where you're playing a lot of guitar, you're not getting any better, you're just kind of jamming. You're having fun. It's a lot of fun. But as far as progressing on the guitar, it's a slow road to go. I always recommend having a 2-step practice routine. You've heard me say this before. Half the time of your practice should be having fun, working on stuff you like, stuff your ear likes to listen to. And the other half is working hard, working on things that don't sound so good at the moment. And that's the point where goals come into the picture, on the part that's you're working hard on. So let's talk about how to set some goals. There's lots of ways people will recommend for you to set goals. And how you do it really isn't as important as just that you're doing it at all. I like to start with a big general goal and then figure out what some small short-term goals that I need that will get me to my ultimate general goal. So the long term is a short term is the specific parts you need to achieve that general goal. And that way you can focus on short-term, easily achievable goals and have a sense of accomplishment as you work your way towards the big one. Let's take an example. Say you want to be a better rhythm player. That's your big general goal. I want to play rhythm guitar better. I've got some problems and I want to get there. Well, that's a good general goal. Let's get our specific goals. What are smaller goals that are bite-sized that we can easily accomplish to work our way up to that goal of being a better rhythm player? Well, we need some chords. We need to work on the different types of chords. And then we could move on to the bar chords. That would be our second short-term goal, a small goal. Then we have maybe chords on just 4 strings. And then after that, you could work on extensions each way. You're getting a little bit closer to that being a better rhythm player, your big goal. Another thing you can do is you could understand rhythm better. You could work on your basic rhythms, quarter notes, eighth notes, start there. And then after you're good with those, move on to your next small goal, which is finding common rhythms for the style that you're playing in. And then once you have those, move up to the next one. You could even get a book about different rhythms that you're not familiar with. But once you've written down all of these things that you think will get you to your goal, take a look at your list and find the keystone, the step that has to be done before all of the other ones. And once you have that, then repeat. What's the next step that you have to do? Put everything in order. So now you have your order of what you're going to do. Now here's the most important part. Set a time limit. We're not floating here. There's no sense in spending years working on something. Maybe a few weeks working on step 1. Or, maybe a few weeks on each of them. Or maybe a week on each one. Whatever you feel. But just write down what you think is a reasonable amount of time to learn each step. Then start planning your actions. We'll work on that a small amount every day. It's better working a little bit every day than not touching the guitar for a week and having one big long marathon session a week. You're not going to remember those things. We need to start chipping away at the stone. We need to work on our long-term memory. So we're just going to do a small amount every day of our goals till we get to the time where we move on to the next one. And the last thing I want to talk about with setting goals, very important, is stick to it. Achieving goals is not easy. And you're not going to sound good while you're working on whatever it is you're working on. It's hard work. But let me tell you something. All these great players that you like to listen to that make everything sound effortless, let me tell you their little secret. They choose what they share and what they don't share. The things they put out there is not their woodshedding. It's not their practice routine. Rest assured that your favorite player has sounded horrible a lot while learning new things. They just don't share that with the public. They keep that private. So don't feel bad if you're putting in all this hard work, you've set goals, and it's not sounding so good. If you put in the work, I guarantee you will succeed. But what happens if you get stuck? What do? If you feel like you're spinning your wheels, you ask for help. If you've got someone you know nearby who can help you, or ask me, I'd be happy to help you. You could just send me an email at feedback@playguitarpodcast.com and I can help you stick to your goals. Okay, so there it is. Those are my 3 tips to jumpstart your guitar playing. We went over transcribing solos, playing guitar with other people, and setting goals. These 3 things have been the hands down most effective parts of my guitar journey, and I know that they'll help you too. I'm planning on incorporating all these things in my new practice routine. I don't have a whole lot of time, and I want to use my time as effectively as possible. So if you're like me, try these things out and enjoy the jump start to your guitar playing. Got a question for you. What's been the most effective changes you've had to your guitar practice routine? I would love to hear from you. We would all love to hear from you. So leave a comment in the show notes, and that's at www.playguitarpodcast.com/029. This is listener feedback. This is where if you have a comment or a question I can help you with, I'll try my best to help you. To get in touch, you can always email me at feedback@playguitarpodcast.com, tweet at me at playguitarpdcst, or you can use the comments on the show notes page or the contact form on the site. I am easy to get in touch with. So let me know. This was fun. This is a lot of fun for me. I just went through my outline and I went off the outline a little bit, but it's a lot more fun for me. Let me know how it went. Okay. So what we have this week, we had some iTunes reviews, which I really appreciate. We have one from SK Balai, one from Changes, and one from Hanzo Hamamura. And thank you so much for the wonderful iTunes reviews. It really helps the show and it makes me feel good. So I just want to tell you, thank you so much. I also had some emails this week. Larry D sent me an email. He's getting back into guitar after he's been away from it for a while. And we talked about a lot of different things. We talked about he's got a direct guitar rig. Back at episode 2, I talked all about playing direct, recording direct. Mine's changed a little bit. I started off using Scuffum amps, which is a plug-in where I was just plugging straight into my computer, and it sounded great. But the problem with that is I've been doing some online videos and some Skyping, and it wasn't working out as well. I needed to have an outboard controller. So I have this old Line 6 HD 500X, and it's really got one sound that I really like. So that's what I've been using here, and I put my regular pedals in front of that. So for probably the past 10 episodes, that's what I've been using from my guitar. It doesn't sound as good as the Scuffum did, but it sounds it's working. It's doing its job. Someday I'm going to upgrade my equipment, but he was using the Firehawk FX, and I didn't really know a lot about that. Asked him some questions, and we talked about one of my shows about breaking out of the pentatonic box, and he said some very nice things. So thank you, Larry. I sure appreciate the message. I also had an email from Daniel S., and he's been playing for a long time, but he wants to move on to the next level. We talked about getting together and playing with others, which is part of the show today. And he said a lot of nice things too. And so thank you, Daniel. I sure appreciate your message. Okay, we had a Twitter poll last week. I wanted to know the breakdown of the listeners. We had 30% are beginners, 48% intermediate, and 22% advanced. So the majority is intermediate players. But we do have a lot more beginner players than I thought. I thought that it was even more than that with intermediate players. We've got some beginners and some advanced players too. So that kind of is making me think a little bit. I may do have some special shows just for beginner players. Let me know if that sounds good to you. If you're a beginner player, you'd like to hear a little bit more stuff. Most of the things, what I try to do with each topic is relate it to everyone, to have something that beginners can latch onto, something that intermediate players, and something that advanced players can. But I may do some more specialized episodes. All right, let's talk about the Facebook group. We have some new members. Camille S., Kavan M., Ben A., Bear M., Eric M., Milan S., Swa R., Sander S., Sachin K., Phil C., Cheryl S., Gopi R., Kevin S., Cheryl T., Ashish G., Dean D., Subatra V., Kaiser Q., and Steve D. Thank you all for joining the Play Guitar Facebook group. We are having a lot of fun on there. We've been doing some background tracks stuff this week, which I found some time to actually participate in. There was a John Mayer style background track in the key of G, and I heard it and I thought I had an idea of doing something with the wah pedal a little bit on there. So if you want to listen to it, you can look at the comments of the John Mayer style background track on the Facebook group. We also had we had a few uploaded videos. Chris uploaded a cool video, and so did Ashish. So thank you guys for uploading the videos. We got a lot of links being shared and everything. So the Facebook group is going really good, and I encourage you all to join in. You can go to www.playguitargroup.com, and it'll take you right there, and you can sign up. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you for joining me today for the Play Guitar Podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to the show in iTunes or your podcast player. Also, I really appreciate if you could leave an iTunes review for the show. If you're interested in online lessons, go on over to playguitaracademy.com. Join my early adopter list to get news on the opening of the site. and an early adopter discount. And also follow me on all of my different social media pages. Links to them are at www.playguitarpodcast.com. Thanks again, and I will see you on episode 30.